The following is a presentation of Tuning into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television.
Welcome to a bonus podcast for Game of Thrones post-season 5. I am Wendy Hembrock, and I am joined by the small council. Introduce yourselves, please.
This is Christine from Michigan, the Mistress of Correction and Consistency.
This is Jesse Jackson from Dallas, Texas, and I am the Master of a Hungry Heart.
This is Lou from Alberta, Canada, and staying in theme with the previous episode, I am the master now of the double rainbow.
And this is Shannon from Vancouver, Washington, and I'll be much older by the time you listen to this.
Happy birthday again.
Yes, more birthday.
Yes.
We're continuing Shannon's birthday celebration. And I am Wendy. I am the Mistress of Moderation and also the Mistress of Follow-On Questions.
Yes.
So we are taking things up with more listener feedback today, and we're going to start with some feedback we got from 2 listeners about the same things, which was asking folks about who should sit on the Iron Throne and other ideas. And the first voicemail we're going to hear is from Tom Zoller, who is the author of Love and Capes, which is a delightful comic that everyone should check out. And here's his answer to who should sit on the Iron Throne.
Hi, this is Tom Zoller. I write and draw a comic called Love and Capes at loveandcapes.com. And my hope for who will sit on the Iron Throne is, of course, Samwell Tarly. Because he is the smartest guy there, he is good with numbers, he knows how to send people on missions, he's killed White Walkers, and in the Captain America school of getting things done, he's the guy who is bullied, who knows to stand up to bullies. A weak man knows what to do with power, a strong man never does. So, Samwell Tarly for King of Westeros.
So, Tom, I could tell that you are good friends with Jesse because you have such a good heart and you see the world in such a beautiful light. But honestly, I think Sam is in the same place as Tyrion. He has the right noggin for ruling, but this is a popularity game and no one's going to let someone like Sam rule. I agree. He's definitely got the head for it. He would definitely run the 7 kingdoms the way they should be run, but no one would ever accept him as the ruler.
Yes, Tom, by the way, has a new comic out called Long Distance that you should check out. There, Tom, there's your plug. I agree with you, Christine. It probably won't happen, but I love Tom's thought that a weak man knows what to do with power and would be kind and would use it wisely. And when we answer our questions, Sam, by the way, this is tease, Sam is in my theory for the small council tutorial that we will get to soon. So, but thank you, Tom, for entering. And I don't know that Samwell will end up being it, but I like your logic.
Hi, Tom. It's great to meet another friend of Jesse. And don't get jealous, but you may be a friend of Jesse, but me and Jesse have shared a bed together, which I don't think you two have done yet.
Whoa.
Hey, what happens at
Hey,
Dragon Con
this is
stays
the
at
family
Dragon Con.
show. It's the family show. We don't want to talk about what goes on in Canada.
Oh, this
Don't
was
let
in
the high-
Atlanta.
This was in hot
I
Atlanta.
know, this is in
Yes.
Hotlanta.
Don't let the High
Yes.
Sparrow hear that.
But
Right.
the other reason I really like your message, Tom, is because you've given me my out for a possible resurrection scenario for Jon Snow. Because if you resurrect Jon Snow inside of Samwell Turley, you have the perfect leader.
That's and I love. Thanks for your feedback, Tom, and your question. I loved the Captain America reference. That's somebody who's ultimately very decent and would make a good ruler. The realist in me says that's probably not going to happen, even though Sam is accomplished. He's wielded dragon glass. He's studying to expand his knowledge at the Citadel, we think. So, but can a decent man succeed in this environment? I mean, what we've seen of the show and the book and the world thus far probably says no. It's like why a Carl Sagan or a Neil deGrasse Tyson could never be president or probably even want to be president. But and I will also tease my answer for the small council questions, and that Sam plays a part in my hopes as well. So I don't think he will, but it would be nice to see him involved somehow.
Well, Carl Sagan's dead, so he definitely can't be president.
Well, we can bring people back, resurrection.
Not in the real world.
Shannon, there's a separation between Game of Thrones and the real world. Please find it.
But going back to Tom's voicemail, love the sentiment that Samwell Tarly might be one of the people most deserving to sit on the Iron Throne, but I also don't agree he'll actually make it. But I think he would make an awesome hand for Jon Snow or some other people too. I'd love to see him mix it up with Tyrion and Varys. That would be a delight to see those guys sort of match wits. So I think he would definitely have a seat at the table with the small council. And he's kind of going to be one of the top thinkers, the next generation of maesters. We've lost a bunch of people who have their own knowledge in their head. Maester Aemon, the maester from Winterfell. So we've lost a lot of people who have that knowledge in their head. So it's good that he's going back to school to get it for use by whoever he will be helping. But I definitely see him more as a helper. But I do agree that, a weak man knows the limits of strength, and you have to have more than that, right? You can't just have a military force or a dragon or an army or a red witch. You got to have more tricks in the bag. And I think he would be an excellent addition to anybody's bag of tricks. So that was great. And we also got a similar answer to the question about who should sit on the Iron Throne from Justina. And so we're going to play that voicemail and then we're going to talk about it.
I just started listening to the Small Council this season, and I'm really loving it. I love that there is a mix of book readers and non-book readers on the council because I like getting both perspective. I am a book reader, but I have recently stopped reading the books for now because last season I found myself a little bit bored on the show, and I thought that it was because I had read too far and it was sort of spoiling the storyline for me. So I've made the decision to stop reading the books for now and let the show get ahead of me so that I can be surprised every week. And I don't have any predictions per se, but if I had to choose a house, it would definitely be the House of Stark. And if I had to choose whom I would like to sit on the Iron Throne, that would be Daenerys Targaryen. And I would like Stark to rule in the north because I think a Stark should always be in Winterfell. And Winterfell should always have the banner of the dire wolf flying above it. And I really hope that Jon Snow eventually gets to carry the Stark name because he is very honorable, like Ned was, and I think he deserves to be legitimized. And I just wanted to thank you all for your hard work this season. I am really enjoying listening along.
Justina, I think you're a very brave person to choose House Stark, considering what their history has been, even recently. I hope you are hardy and have good survival skills. And all hail Queen Daenerys, first of her name, right? It's the first of her name. I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention to the history of House Targaryen, but I agree. Great choice for the throne. I don't think the North would let anybody but a Stark rule Winterfell. We've definitely seen that this season. That was the whole purpose of Ramsay marrying Sansa, is because they were getting a lot of pushback from the North, the houses in the North. They wouldn't let anybody but a Stark rule them. So, yeah, that's definitely the way it would have to go. Now, I'm hoping Jon comes back, but should he be given any name, I'm hoping it's Targaryen. So, and maybe he'll stop being so honorable when he comes back, because honor doesn't seem to help anybody, especially Starks. Remember that when you join House Stark.
Justina, thank you so much for the nice compliments. You are very kind, and whatever hard work we do on this, it is a toil of love. It is truly talking about the show with the small council is half of the joy of watching the show. So I'm glad you guys like listening to our rambling. I really liked your thought about the books affecting the viewing, because I felt the same way. And so I think that's an interesting choice you made. Yeah, I think I would not have thought Daenerys was going to sit on the Iron Throne when the show started. I really thought that, I was Team Stark all the way, and I still seem to have an affection for that family. And once again, Jesse Toriel coming up, we'll dwell on that. But I do think the more you watch the show, the more that she has the most legitimate claim and to the throne, and she should get it. I do like to think that Jon Snow will get to have the Stark name, but first thing we got to do is get him back alive. So anyway, thank you again for the compliment.
Amen. Thanks a lot, Justina. Really great stuff there. And it's interesting on your book position, because I'm wondering if you're worried about the reverse happening, though, once you get through through the next season of TV. Are you worried about reading the next book because you already know what's happened in the story at that point? So you have to let us know down the road how that works out for you. And it's your pick of Dany is looking very solid at this point. I would like to see maybe Bran do some warging into one of the dragons and sort of become her partner in crime. I think that would be cool. So, at the other times he can use Hodor to lay down some smack. So we'll have to see what happens. Hodor, it's been a while. We need a Hodor.
Hodor. Well, Justina, thanks for your comment. It's great to know that people are listening and liking what we have to say and becoming engaged with the show and the podcast. So thank you for your question and comments. As far as on the throne, even if Jon Snow comes back and doesn't lose too much of himself in the process, if the R plus L equal J theory pans out in a pretty much patriarchal society, that would make him, if that is proven and he is legitimized, be more of a Targaryen than a Stark, because they would adopt the name and the inheritance and whatever of the male heir, which would be Targaryen. And if he and Dany got together, for example, as a king and queen, they would both be Targaryens. So I think the outside shot for a Stark on the throne, I think Rickon, who knows what he's up to? We haven't seen him, but he's not plugged into the tree Wi-Fi network like Bran. I think Arya is a little lost in terms of her personality and mission and would probably have little interest in being a ruler, and who knows where her journey is going to take her. So really, I think it's between Ricka and Sansa if we did have a Stark sitting on the throne, which we don't know much about Rickon, but I would love to see Sansa involved, at the very least being the wardeness of the North and the ruler of Winterfell, if not sitting on the throne herself.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can definitely picture Sansa as the wardeness of the North, the widow Bolton, maybe marries somebody else. I could picture Bran as the king beyond the wall, maybe. I don't know, but I'm going to be very curious to see sort of what state he's in the next time we see him. If he's gone way more supernatural or not, because that, depending on how much more powerful he is with magic, would sway me to be less convinced that he would be a contender for the Iron Throne. It's funny because I am very tied to the Starks. I think we're supposed to be from season 1. I kind of think of the Starks as the Waltons in this universe. And I know it's silly. So I definitely want the Starks somehow in the mix. If it's Sansa, Wardeness of the North, assuming Jon Snow comes back, I don't see him as sitting on the Iron Throne. I do see it as Dany. But I'm going to hang a lantern on the question of how long she sits on the Iron Throne before something else happens, maybe at her own instigation, which I'm going to come back to when we go through our own answers to these questions in a little more detail.
Wild card pick, Stark from Farscape.
Ooh.
Your side, my side, your side, my side.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That just got really meta.
That's very wild card.
Dumb question. What relationship, if Jon Snow is a Targaryen, what relationship would he be to Dany? Are they cousins?
They're cousins.
Brother and
If
sister?
he's the son of Rhaegar, she's the son of the Mad King, so they're cousins.
Cousins? Okay.
That's not so bad.
Especially in those times.
Or in the South.
Or in the South, exactly.
Jaime and, his sister, hey, cousins, that's almost like, forever.
So before we move on, I do want to echo the thanks of others to Justine as well for the feedback. We do definitely enjoy talking to each other, but we also like hearing occasionally that somebody's listening and appreciates it as well. So thank you for that. And now, we had asked all these questions of the folks who had sent in submissions. So as the hand of the small council, I decided it was only fair that the small council answer some of the questions that we suggested our listeners do. So we're going to kind of do a lightning round of folks answering some of the questions. Okay, so first question. My hope for who will sit on the Iron Throne is, and we're starting with Christine.
Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Daenerys as well, though I like Tom's theory. Don't think it'll happen, but I love his logic.
I don't think there will be an Iron Throne at the end of this all. So I'm going with Daenerys's prophecy that she wants to break the Iron Throne.
Interesting. I think it will be Daenerys and Jon, and they will become betrothed and rule Westeros together with a small council, with Tyrion as the hand and Sam as part of the small council.
Wow, that's like the Disney version.
With rainbows.
My hope for who would sit on the Iron Throne is Sansa.
Oh, you got to be the different one.
Yeah, I do. Because a hope is different than a bet, which is our next question.
True.
So now, what's your bet for who will sit on the Iron Throne in the TV show?
My bet is that there won't be an Iron Throne. I remember Dany's vision, the one that didn't involve Khal Drogo, that the Red Keep was kind of destroyed and it was covered in snow. So I don't think there will be an Iron Throne for anybody to sit on.
That certainly would be in keeping with the show. But if I had to bet, I'm going to say that Dany is going to. Not only do I hope that my money would be on that.
Yep. My hope and my bet are the same. There will be no Iron Throne to sit on.
I like the suggestion that it would be some kind of going back to independent kingdoms without an overall ruler. I find that really fascinating, and it's probably more in line with the tone of the show. But if it was a bet and I had to put down money, I would put money on Dany.
Today, I would put money on Dany sitting on the Iron Throne for about a day, but I agree. I think she is going to be instrumental in breaking the wheel of medieval, this whole medieval system. I think that we need a revolution, baby. So now, assuming all things have not come to pass yet with Dany or breaking the throne, I want to ask, what would be your sigil, and explain the rationale for it?
My sigil would be the fleur-de-lis, probably in yellow and black. I've been known as Lily in a lot of places online, and the fleur-de-lis is kind of like the heraldic lily, and yellow and black because I always seem to end up with those colors in every sorting sort of thing. Like my high school colors were yellow and black. I've been sorted as Hufflepuff over and over again, and even the few house tests that I've taken for Game of Thrones, I always seem to end up as a Baratheon. So those seem to just be my colors.
Interesting. I like your answer a lot. I wish I could steal it. My signet would be a rainbow over a TARDIS. I'm that geeky, and two, the TARDIS everywhere is a symbol of hope, and because I'm, always pushing for a happy ending and happiness, I think that would be my symbol.
Well, because I am from the very far north up of the wall, I guess mine would have to be a rainbow over a beaver.
Not a moose?
No.
Or a hockey stick?
Or a fandango?
No.
Thunderbolts and lightning?
No. Very, very frightening.
Aurora Borealis.
Northern Lights.
Northern Lights, there you go.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, instead of the rainbow.
Yes. Yes, I like that. Northern Lights over the beaver. There you go.
My sigil would be a glass of bourbon on a red and black field because I'm from the South and Georgia specifically. So, and also red and black looks great together.
I'm on board with this.
Interesting. You guys have got some really interesting ideas. Mine, I think, would be a tree. Maybe somewhat like a werewood tree, but not with a creepy face in the middle. I think kind of like the tree that's actually the sigil for in the Lord of the Rings for Aragorn.
Oh, okay.
The humans.
That's
but,
nice.
I definitely have an attachment to nature, so that would be mine. And there'd definitely be some green in it and probably some brown. I'm not sure. I have no more detail than that on my tree. I think it could change with the seasons too. So now let's move on to where you would live if you were living in Westeros and why.
I think that I would live in Dorne because it's hot and I hate the cold, and I seem to like it a lot hotter than most people. Also, they're very passionate and they're very open to different ways of living life. I'm all on board with that.
And I would live in Winterfell because I have the extra padding, so I do better in cold climates, and I look a lot better in layers.
Oh, Jesse, how can I follow that? I think just because I've lived in cold for most of my life, I would just go as far south as I could, and I would just kind of like to be like that old couple on Lost that just kind of told everybody else to get lost. You guys are too busy running around trying to fix things and not living your life. So, yeah, I'd want to kick back with some people like that.
Despite its portrayal on the show, I would relocate immediately to Dorne. It is progressive in its politics, non-judgmental, free love, and hedonistic.
Repo's.
And wouldn't be that crowded since apparently there's only 6 or 7 people there.
So it's like Key West.
Shannon will totally room together. It'll be great.
Those are some interesting destinations. I'm torn. I've got 2. High Garden, because I think the people are pretty moderate. I don't need to be quite as hedonistic as Dorne, but I think a High Garden seems tolerant for many different kinds of people. Plus, they've got all the food, which I think is really important. So I like the idea of this sort of pastoral life in High Garden. Or I would go be a maester in the Citadel and be very content being there.
So still in the South for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So now let's talk about what house or group, if it's not a house, that you would join in the Game of Thrones universe.
I went a little different with this one. I don't think I want to be a part of any of those houses. They're all insane. And I'm not sure this really counts as a group, but I would want to go to Bravos to learn how to be a water dancer.
Ooh, very nice. I would be a Stark because, like Ned Stark, I tend to believe in the best in people, even if it hurts me in the long run.
And you already live in Winterfell.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got the clothes.
Yeah. I think since I'm already down south, I'd probably join a band of pirates.
Interesting.
Nice.
They do have fun, don't they?
They do. They're the only ones that seem to. And they answer to no one except themselves.
That's true, but they can be wanted by the law, or else I might sign up for your crew.
You gotta have a little spice in your life, right?
Based on my previous answer, I would probably choose to be a Martell, or probably as a second choice, a Tyrell. Both are noble houses, come from money, live in a great climate, and for the most part have stayed out of a lot of the stuff that has befallen the Starks and Lannisters and Targaryens, and without all the pesky oaths that someone of the Night's Watch or the Citadel, the Maesters, have to take.
So yet again, I have 2 answers. First, I'd be a wildling if I could live south of the wall. So
I don't think that's possible.
Well, no. Hey, they're migrating. As far as I'm concerned, they're migrating south.
Well, there's the gift. That land that was created south of the wall just for the wildlings.
So
that's not too far south, though.
So I would pick that. If I had to be a wildling somewhere very close to the wall, then, as I mentioned, I would go to Maester School and go live in the Citadel.
Cool.
Okay, we had a couple other questions I want to ask. Folks, jump in if you have an answer or not. First up is any questions for the small council?
Pass.
So my question for the small council is, will anyone get a happy ending, or will all our characters be so bloody and beat up that the ending of this tale will not feel like a victory, but just someone survived?
Jesse, do you need a hug?
Almost.
After all this time, you can still have the hopeful question, Jesse. I'm so impressed. I think Rickon. He'll just show up at the last minute and miss all the hassles.
I think there will be some characters that will indeed get a happy ending. I mean, it's a grim tale, a grim land, and bad things happen to good people. But I think it would be too much like his critics try to portray him if absolutely no one got a happy ending. I mean, even in Joss Whedon stories, people occasionally get happy endings. So I will say yes to Jesse's question.
I tend to agree with Shannon. I think that some bad people will get happy endings, some good people will get happy endings, and a lot of people are just going to die.
So depressing.
No, not depressing. You're going to get a little bit of everything, I think.
Everything in moderation. I'm just going to pick one person who I think will have a happy ending, and I think that will be Samuel Tarley, and therefore Jesse will get a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
There you go. That's a good
Yay.
answer. I think that's the answer.
Sam's already, as John said, at least someone's having a good time during the end of the world.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have a question? I have a question.
Yeah, I have one. We're in season 5, and I don't know how much you talked about this last season or the previous podcast for the last episode of the season, but the pace of the season, I think, was raising a lot of testing a lot of people's patience with its relentlessness, such as poor Jesse on the small council. How many more seasons do you think you can take of this? Do you think they should wrap it up within 2 or 3 seasons, or can you go for another 5?
Everybody's contracted and they've said consistently 7, which is 2 more. But I think there'll be some news, whether it happens in a couple of weeks at Comic-Con or sometime before they start, before season 6 airs, that they'll announce that they're adding 1 more to everybody's contracts and deals, and that it will wrap up with 8 total seasons.
I'm not sure if it's 7 or 8, but I think it isn't any more than that to finish the story and not pad it out with filler.
Yeah, I could definitely last until 7 or 8 seasons because that's where the story should end. If it goes any further than that, I think I'd be sick of it, not because I wouldn't be able to take the depressing storylines anymore, but because it would become a little like Supernatural starting season 6. You know, it's like, why are we watching this anymore? You're going past the end of the story. But I can stick around to the end of the story.
I'm still watching Supernatural, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
No,
So
I
is
am
Wendy,
too.
probably.
Well, we're all watching it, hoping that another story is going to start.
Yes, absolutely.
I stopped in 5.
So I think as long as they keep moving the story along at the pace, I think this year especially they had a good job of. It feels like even though I had a little qualms that they could have moved part of the story faster, Arya, but overall I think they moved the story well, and I'm captivated. So I'm in for I think another 3 or even 4 seasons if they keep the pace going. I just don't want them to. I really want it to be the Mary Poppins, right? Or Goldilocks, just right. I don't want it too long that they're padding the story, but I don't want it too short that it is rushed. So I want it to be just right.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
And Shannon, did you have a question?
No, I didn't have a question for the group.
Okay, I have a question. Will there be a time jump at any time before the end of the series? And if so, for how long? How much time jumping?
I don't think there'll be any time jumps. I think they've managed to balance the way the storylines are moving along well for the show. The only time jump that we've kind of gotten is that Bran wasn't in the show at all this season, so we can just jump ahead in his story to, after he's trained in Dagobah, and and we didn't have to pointlessly visit him for a whole season when his story wasn't moving along. So I think because they are willing to do something like that with the show, we will not need any time jumps.
Yeah, I hope there isn't a time jump. I guess, in a novel, it would work better, I think, kind of, and 10 years from now. But I don't know if the show would work as well. I'm okay if they do it because that is the story they want to tell and it's the right choice for the story. But I don't. I'm hoping they won't. Let's put it this way. I'm not going to predict one way or another, but I don't think I would be necessarily happy with it.
Yeah, given the type of story we've been told so far, I can't really see a time jump working organically. And I would say for me, like the last scene that would really work for me, it would be one of the dragons melting the Iron Throne to the ground in a big pile of slag.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's one of the problems with the source material is that George R. R. Martin wanted to do a time jump and then realized that as he was planning it out, there were too many narrative threads that didn't necessarily work. And then that led to plot complications and things getting extended. And then to eventually what he called his Milanese knot, where Danny got stuck. And again, I said this before, but if you guys think some of her stories got had an anchor thrown on them on the screen, man, on the page, it's so much longer. So and there were problems with the characters and the kids and the point of views and all that. So he has it in his mind that he wanted to do it at some point, but I think now that he's committed, the source material won't do it, and I'm pretty confident that the show won't do it either. If anything, the only one I could see might be, after we get the resolution, some kind of epilogue. But I doubt they would even do that.
The reason I asked that is because the whole idea that we have a long winter coming, we've barely started the winter and we're season 5. And to me, I kind of want to know what sticks. So that's why I'm wondering, and I can't imagine this battle with the undead army is going to be a couple of skirmishes and we're done. That's why I'm curious about how we bring things to a narrative conclusion that doesn't feel like it's all going to be undone, in a couple of days after the story ends. That's why I was wondering, because part of this is inspired by reading a lot of the World of Ice and Fire book, and winter lasts a long time, so it's like a siege mentality I'm
Right.
thinking about. So even it might not necessarily be a long period of time, but it could be, 6 months of day-to-day skirmishes happening between people that we just sort of skip over. Kind of thing is what I'm wondering if we'll see.
And the final book is called A Dream of Spring, to your point, so it could be a period where the winter comes and either it's a short winter or they do start, thinking about it and it's more metaphorical than literal.
Or it could be the reverse of the false spring, where they get the false winter. Maybe winter isn't actually coming, or it's a short one.
I think,
Sure.
winter has been coming since, what was it, season 2? They got that White Raven.
Well, the first episode, winter's been coming, right?
Well, that's what the Starks have been saying, but they always say that. But officially, the White Raven is sent to the Red Keep to say winter is officially coming. And it clearly takes a long time. I mean, the way the seasons go in this world, it sets in for a very long time, which means that it takes a lot longer for it to truly be winter. I think that the threat from the north, the White Walkers and the Whites, will be taken care of before winter truly sets in, and therefore we would need a time jump in that respect.
If it's a short time jump, when I think of a time jump, I think, years ahead or something. But if it is a 1 year later, that necessarily wouldn't be a bad thing for just speeding up the story, because the siege mentality, as you talked about, there's a lot of skirmishes with the White Walkers and everything, so that may not be as bad as I thought it would be.
Oh, great. So other questions before we move on to crazy theories.
Crazy theories.
All right, crazy theories. Take it away, Christine.
It's Brent's Crazy Theory Hour without Brent. So I'm still waiting on confirmation or just flat out refusal to answer on my Shireen is not a Baratheon theory, but I'm going to put that one away for now. I actually just came up with one while we were talking during this podcast. I remember that Arya had gone blind, and that the Starks have a tendency to have, these warging powers. And I think where her eyes are no longer able to see, she may start picking up that warging or green sight ability that Bran has, because, she will need to find another outlet for that sense, and it'll start coming to her. And I wonder how that will affect her being a faceless man. What are your thoughts?
You know, that's an interesting theory. I've just made the kind of in my mind that this blindness is temporary and it's kind of a punishment, and it'll it'll be lifted after she learns her lesson. But that's an interesting thing, that if she is this losing her eyesight helps her bring that talent that um, her brother has to life. Interesting theory.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. You would think they would do something pretty cool with her blindness for sure. I hope it's not just going to be some, penance of washing like 50 dead bodies or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, maybe she'll kind of like develop like Luke putting the blast shield down, learn to truly become faceless and forget herself. Yeah, that should be turn out to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Interesting theory. So, what do you think, Wendy?
Oh, you're not offering any theory because you know the answer.
That
I
could be
have
right.
the same interpretation as Jessie, that the blindness is a punishment to scare her, and somehow she's going to get over it. But I actually like the idea of her becoming more like Daredevil with it. Maybe not working, but she becomes even more of a super assassin because of the blindness thing.
I still do think that the blindness is temporary, but while she is blind, I believe this other, ability will present itself.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she can find Nymeria finally.
Yes! Sorry.
That I would love.
There's a dangling plot line that hasn't been picked up.
Really, all the wolves, we have not checked in with them, other than Ghost in that scene with Sam and Gilly. We have not seen much of the wolves at all.
I think really it's just Nymeria and Ghost that are kind of question marks, because we know that Summer and Shaggy Dog are with their owners, and we just haven't seen them.
Yeah, we have to presume Rickon's okay, and I'm definitely assuming Bran is hard at work in the cave.
Mm-hmm. Hodor.
Yes. Any other crazy theories or really smart theories to share?
So here is my
Jessitorial.
This is my Walt Disney version. So apologize in advance.
Wait, are there hidden Mickeys?
No.
Okay, let's pass around the insulin before you go.
So Jon Snow will be resurrected, and he will feel that since his vow for the Night Watch was for a lifetime, he is free from that vow, and he will join the Stark family. Now, the person who made him the offer to be legitimate is now dead, but he, along with the remaining Stark families, will back Dany in her quest for the Iron Throne. Daenerys will be successful, and Jon will be the leader of the King's Guard, because he has no interest in another companion with Ygritte's death, and so then he can serve his new leader. Sam will be Maester in the Small Council, and Bronn will be Warden of the North. Sansa will realize that Tyrion's actually a good and kind man, and their marriage is going to be renewed, and she will spend her time between King's Landing and Winterfell commuting Air Dragon, thanks to Bronn's wogging score. Tyrion and will be on the Small Council as well. And Sansa will help her brother run the North. And Arya will be the protege of Varys, the Master of Secrets, and she's also the head of a secret group of assassins who serve the Iron Throne.
Wow. Just Wow.
Let me wrap it all up in a bow and make it like, okay, everyone we love gets a happy ending.
Somebody get George R. R. Martin on line 1. We've got the ending right here.
Yes.
I need some pretty music in the background. and that insulin shot. Did we get those?
And Jesse, you got to put in like the Walton ending. Good night, John boy.
Yes. Yeah. I personally like the air dragon, because he's gonna going back and forth.
Yes, it's kind of a Flintstones thing.
So, Jesse, I'm going to run with your crazy theory, but I'm going to take it slightly different. I'm going to go with Jon Snow does leave the Night's Watch, and Brienne of Tarth takes over as the new Lord Commander, and Arya goes to the Wall, and we have a complete new way of running the Night's Watch.
Ooh, I like that.
And Jon Snow, so Dany still gets to be on the Iron Throne, but Jon Snow is going to marry widow Sansa, and they're going to be the warden and the wardeness of the North.
Wait, did you just do the cousin thing with the Stark?
Well, they're not related. They're barely related, right? They're cousins.
Still cousins.
Yeah, because that would be.
And he's going to marry her to help her, right? To help her and protect her.
Okay.
He does like redheads.
He does.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
I don't know. See, I'm okay with the cousin thing, but they grew up together.
Yeah, I would think he thinks of her as a sister, but that is an interesting.
Well, they've been separated for a while now. The last time he saw Sansa, she was quite different than she looks today.
Yes. But they still grew up together. It's icky for me there.
Well, I mean, I don't know how close they were, though, because there was always that issue with how much Caitlyn hated him.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that rubbed off on. I mean, we know Arya was very bonded to him, but I don't know how much Sansa was.
And it could be a political marriage.
Yes, completely. Yeah, I'm not assuming they marry for love. They marry for smarts, right? For a smart alliance. I don't believe in true love in Game of Thrones panning out for anybody.
No.
I think you have a point there. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Going once again. Any more crazy theories?
No. All I can come up with is maybe Samwell will be called back to the tower, and he will carry Jon Snow's Katra for the season until it's in his body.
Remember.
Okay, last question. The title of your epic ballad is?
Pass.
So we talked a little bit about this before we recorded to pull back the curtain, and I said it would have to be a Springsteen song, either Better Days, and what I went with is Land of Hope and Dreams. And Christine asked, well, you didn't write the lyrics, did you? So now I'm going to take that as a challenge. And before our next recording, I'm going to try to rewrite the words to Land of Hope and Dreams so that I will actually have an epic Game of Thrones, epic ballad.
Just for the record, I did not actually issue a challenge.
Hey, challenge accepted. Call me Barney.
Epic ballad. Given where we are at this point in the series, I'm going to go with the Doors song and say "Break On Through to the Other Side."
Nice.
That's a good choice.
I like that choice.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
So that would be mine. It's the end of the world as we know it. Not only for thematic reasons, but also that would be my choice just because I'm from Georgia. That's my favorite band. And when I got to Athens to go to college, they had just released their first album. And so I have a strong emotional connection to REM.
Oh,
Nice.
I have a fond affection for REM also. But more their earlier stuff. So my favorite band is Pearl Jam. And I mentioned earlier that I think we've got revolution coming because we've got Wildlings, we've got Brothers Without Banners, we've got Danny with Freed Slaves. So my hope is that there's, the equivalent of the French Revolution coming to Westeros. So the Pearl Jam song I would choose is called Do the Evolution.
Very nice.
Good choice.
There are many others, but that was the one that popped to my mind immediately, and it's also one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs. So that was a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
Yes, it was.
we still have more listener feedback to get through, so the fun isn't over.
That's right. HBO forces our Game of Thrones creators, or the creators only can go 10 episodes. We, on the other hand, have the courage and the drive to do more than 10 episodes.
I figured it was just that we couldn't shut up.
Yeah.
Does this
Yeah,
mean our
that's true.
budget is increasing?
Yes, our budget of 0 is now double 0.
It's doubled.
So before we go, I want to thank all of our listeners and especially thank the folks who have sent us in voicemails and feedback. And we encourage you to send more. If you send more, we'll keep talking. And I want to thank our small council, as usual, for a delightful time. And there's more coming soon.
Take care, everybody.
Woohoo.
Bye.
Bye.
We love to get your feedback. Call us at 206-202-4182 or leave us a Skype voicemail to our Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV name. We have many ways to keep the discussion going on our blog. Drop by tuningintoscifitv.com and leave a comment. On the blog, you'll also find links to the forum discussions and other links to follow our Twitter and RSS feeds and find our Facebook account.
Listen to Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV on Stitcher Radio on Demand. Download the free app today at Stitcher.com. You've been listening to a Game of Thrones special from Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, Episode 49, recorded June 29th, 2015.